because we are in such a critical time in history, and we might not even know how our mind, our inner condition is working. So in that line, I want to share from Psalm 46. Psalm 46 is a wonderful psalm of confidence in the goodness of God. And the title today is Fearless Disposition. The word disposition means your inner condition, or how do you react when something happens. If you have a fearless disposition, when some bad things happen in your life, you will not be afraid. But if you have a fearful disposition, smallest thing can make you fearful and terrified. That fearless inner condition, that fearless disposition, therefore, is very important for our lives' success or failures. If you have that inner, fearless, confident disposition, you will become victorious no matter what happens to you. But if your inner disposition is not very strong, you are a weak person in your inside. And when that inner disposition is in a weakness, then if bad things happens, you immediately wonder, how am I going to come out of it? When someone makes you angry, you want to retaliate immediately. But on the other hand, if your inner disposition is strong, fearless, confident, then you will react in a different way when something happens on the outside. If you're a happy person, not because everything is jolly, but because your inner disposition is happy, therefore you can be happy even when situations are telling you not to be happy. So therefore today I want us to check from Psalm 26 what kind of disposition we have in our mind, in our heart. How do we think and how do we react? Depends on what kind of inner disposition we have. Today, this pandemic is creating very fearful situation. The whole world is in state of fear. And when we watch the news, it makes us even more agitated, anxious, worried, and fearful. And even if there is no pandemic, if everything is fine in the world, but in our own personal life, when we go to the doctor, and the doctor tells us that, oh, you have a serious sickness, you have a real big sickness in your body. How do we react at that time will be dependent upon the condition of our heart or the inner disposition. When we lose our job, when someone comes against us, when something bad happens, how do we react? Determines what kind of life we have. Charles Swindoll, of course many other before him, they have often said that in life, the quality of our life is determined by how we react to what happens outside. But the things that happen outside are only 10% of the quality of our life. And 90% is our response to the 10% that has happened. So if I'm a happy person, my happiness might be dependent on 10% of what is happening outside. 90% depends on how I reacted to what has happened. So, my reaction to what is happening outside is determined by the kind of disposition I have in my heart or in my mind. So, in this terrible situation where many people are getting sick and many people are dying, if we have the inner disposition of fear, oh God, maybe I might also get this virus, or I might die. If I'm always thinking about fear, and maybe I'm going to die, or maybe I'll catch this virus, how much we may avoid one way or the other, we might get the virus, and instead of beating the virus will beat us, depending how terrified we are about it. So let us read this psalm before my time runs out. I'll not take very long, and you guys are very tired of many meetings, I understand. Psalm 46, let us read this psalm. There are 11 verses, very short psalm. Someone wrote a beautiful poem describing majesty of God, and especially the faithfulness of God, the goodness of God. And Martin Luther, one of the famous reformers in the history of the church, who faced terrible situation in his own life, every time he had a hard time, or someone came against, someone wanted to kill him, he would ask his family and his students, say, let us now sing Psalm 46. And he said, every time they sang this psalm, they would always be strengthened. Their inner disposition of fear, anxiety, worry, anger, frustration will be transformed into trust, faith, confidence in the goodness of God. And when we put our confidence in the goodness of God, then it doesn't matter what is happening on the outside. Because our confidence in the goodness of God controls our life. When we are controlled from the inside, even the outside situation come under that power. So let us read. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. There are three things: refuge, strength, ever-present help when in trouble. Whenever there is trouble, whenever there is problem, whenever our situations are running out of our control, the psalmist says, God is my strength. He will give me the ability. Not only strength, if my strength fails, then I have a refuge to go and hide. It's a hiding place. It's a safe place to hide when you are afraid. And I am not simply hiding there, I have an ever-present help. If I have this inner disposition that tells me, don't worry, you can hide in God. He is your strength. He is going to give you ability. And when your strength is gone, when you are hiding and you don't know what's going to happen, God is always present, ever present. He is never absent. He is present. Therefore, he said, verse 2, we will not fear, though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. In other words, even in terrible natural calamities like earthquakes and flood and whatever happens, when there is no place to go on this planet, we will still have a place of security, and that is God. That's the thinking. Now, the psalmist is not in the flood. He is not in the earthquake right now. The earth is not splitting under their feet. But that is what the psalmist's thinking is, that even if the earth is splitting under my feet, I have a safe place to go. Even when the sea water comes, tsunami comes to wipe me out, I still have a secure place to go. That is the inner disposition, inner way of thinking that controls this person's perspective in life. As Christians, we are also in this same psalmist's position. But do we trust God like that? Do we have that inner disposition of trust in the strength of God, in the refuge of God, in His help? And verse 4, there is a river whose streams make glad the city of God and the holy place where the Most High dwells. In the one hand, the sea water, the tsunami is coming, the flood is coming. It's a sign of destruction, natural disaster. On the other hand, there is a river that is different than the river in this world. There is an old chorus we used to sing, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. There is a peace like a river. So he said, there is a river. It's a supernatural river of God's presence. The Holy Spirit is oftentimes likened with water. If anyone is thirsty, let him come to me. Here, there is a river. Whose streams make glad the city of God. Maybe he is talking about Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem does not have river. There are small, little bit of stream coming here and there, but no river in Jerusalem. Therefore, water scarcity is always a big problem in Jerusalem. But here he says, even though there may be no water, even though I may be in dry land, yet I am hiding in this city of God, in the spiritual city, in the place where God is present. There is also a river that gives me water. I am not thirsty. I am not terrified. I am not fearful. I am not depressed and discouraged. I am not defeated. I am not lonely. I am not miserable, because there is the supernatural river of God's peace that sustains me in times of natural disasters or pandemic or calamities. Of no matter what happens, I will have this supernatural safety, a refuge. I will have supernatural strength, and my God is ever-present help in time of my need. And then verse 4, it said, there is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is present in that city. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of the day, or in the morning, help will come. The weeping may last through the night, but the rejoicing will come in the morning, because my God is always present to provide help for me. So, first of all, if I am facing natural disaster, natural calamities, or some terrible sickness happened and something happened that is beyond my control, even at that time, I am safe in the presence of God. I am protected in this supernatural spiritual city. The whole world may run out of water, but God will send His spiritual river for me to drink from. And this river will make me glad. There is joy like a river in my heart. There is peace like a river in my heart. That is the inner thinking of a Christian ought to be. If you're a Christian, you have to have that register in your back of your head that no matter what happens in this world, my God is always with me. But if you don't have that inner disposition of trust in the goodness of God, then what happens? You become restless, worry, afraid, and you cannot be glad, you cannot be joyful. Even though the pandemic is not coming to your house, but still you can develop this restless spirit. Let's continue. Verse 6. Now he talks about human disasters. Up he said natural disaster. Now even in human disaster, what did he say? God is within us. So nations are in uproar. Kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice. The earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done. The desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes war cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. In other words, if we are not facing natural calamities and disasters, then there are human-made disasters such as war, conflict, nation against nation, people against people. You may be innocent person, but some other human being's evil actions can create big problem for you. So the psalmist is telling, even if war breaks out, our God is mighty. If these nations come against God, He has the power to make them desolate. He has the power to destroy them. But at the same time, He also has the power to make them stop their fighting. He will destroy their weapons of war. And Isaiah 54 verse 17 says, no weapon that is formed against us shall prosper, but we shall condemn every tongue that speaks against us. That's the attitude of the person who believes in God. Said, okay, if nature is fine with me, there is no earthquake, there is no flood, there is no famine, there is no tsunami, there is no storm, everything is peaceful, but maybe humans are coming against me. People are trying to create my life, misery in my life. Even at that time, if our inner disposition is, what can man do to me? My trust is in God, and any weapon that is formed against me, my God is able to nullify that weapon. My God is able to destroy that weapon. If that kind of inner thinking we have, then God puts us in a place of safety, because God will always respond to the people according to their faith, their trust. They that put their hope in God will not be ashamed. They that trust in the name of the Lord will not be ashamed. They that call upon the name of the Lord will not be ashamed. Many times it is repeated that if you put your trust in God, you will never be put to shame. So here psalmist is telling, you can come and see, nations are fighting against God, people are fighting against each other, wars everywhere, but God is able to make peace. So finally, verse 10 and 11. What shall we do then? What is our responsibility? When there is a natural calamity like pandemic is going on, when there are wars and rumors of war and famines and going on, what shall we do? Verse 10. He says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Our job is to be still. In other words, this be still is not that you stop working. It's not the cessation of activity. It is not stopping your work. What it is that when suffering comes, when sadness comes, when people are fighting against you, what do you want to do? You want to defend, you want to protect, you want to run away, you don't know what to do, whether to go here or whether to go there. You are anxious, you are unstable, you are ceaselessly moving, you are peaceless. At that time, God is telling, stop. Stop your activities of finding some solution by yourself and put your trust in me. Let me be your God. Let me be your refuge. Let me be your strength. Let me be your help. You don't try to help yourself. Put your trust in me. Surrender your life to me and let me be your God. That's what he means. Be still and know that I am God. Human problem is when we are in a serious problem, we want to find solution as soon as possible. And we go to human being, we go here, we go there, and we become very clever. We want to be so cunning. Somehow we have this survival instinct, like the animal have survival instinct. We too have this survival instinct in us that does not have the ability to wait for God to come in our life. So in that case, he is telling, stop and be quiet and look to God. Put your trust in me. Let me come and help you. Don't forget, you are in my presence. It's like the disciples were in the Sea of Galilee in a boat, and a storm came. Jesus was sleeping and they were about to sink, and they tried to sail the boat and throw the water out of the boat, and they were so desperate, and finally we're going to die now. And then they went and woke Jesus up. Don't you care we are dying? And to them Jesus said, where is your faith? The disciples forgot that Jesus was with them. And they were so peaceless, they were panicking. And to them Jesus said, where is your faith? So here the psalmist says, my faith is in a God who is my refuge. The last verse and the verse 7 also, the God of Jacob is our fortress. Now why did he say God of Jacob? Why didn't he say God of Abraham? Why didn't he say God of Isaac? Or oftentimes it's a God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. But here only God of Jacob. Jacob was also a survivor. He always lived with the survival instinct. He didn't trust God. Wherever he goes, he wanted to connive. He wanted to be clever. He wanted to deceive. He wanted to manipulate situation in his favor. But God is now here. The psalmist says, be still and know I am God. Then the Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Because it's not Jacob's goodness that is more important here. It is God's grace to help even a man like Jacob, who was a cheater. But the grace of God was with Jacob. So maybe we are not as perfect human being, but still God loves us. And therefore He sent His Son to die for us, so that today we can come to Him and put our trust and say, Lord, I don't know what to do in my life. This situation is beyond my control. And if you surrender your life to God like that, He will become your strong tower of refuge, where even the earthquake will not affect, the storms and the flood, tsunami will not affect. And when you are hiding in His presence, when you are waiting upon God, you will gain your spiritual strength, and you will see the salvation of God, the deliverance of God. So therefore, whoever is your young people, old people, all of us, what kind of disposition we have, what kind of reaction we give to the things that happen outside. Are we always, when something bad happens, for example, I was talking to my wife about my pastor friend, maybe he had some problem with some other Christians, and immediately he posted on Facebook about his problem with someone. Or let's say, for example, our church here, if our church members create problems and they divide the church, and how do I react? Do I go, this man is from the devil, I will destroy him? Or, okay, you want to go, praise God. You want to start a new church? Go ahead, my friend, I'll pray for you. It is depending on my inner disposition. And bring it to your personal life, your family. Suppose my son does something that I don't like. Do I go and fight with him and get angry? Or we say, my son, I don't like it. If you like it, it's up to you. Peaceful disposition will react in peaceful way. Trust in God will help us to react in that way when situations are out of our hand. So therefore, check your inner disposition. Are you trusting God? Or are you trusting yourself? The reason we become restless and peaceless and full of anxiety is that we have not put our trust in the strength of God. We put our strength on our own ability to handle the situation. When the situations go out of control and when we don't see what is happening in the future, then we become distressed, peaceless, angry, agitated, irritated, resentful. So peace like a river. Let there be peaceful disposition in your heart. Even in the midst of suffering, you still say, my God is with me. Even when you have no food at home to eat, you still say, my God will provide. Even the doctor says that your body is absolutely ridden with sickness, you still say, my God is able to heal me. When whole people are coming against you, attacking you, you still say, my God will defend me. So, our inner dispositions are very important areas of life. And that comes when we put our trust in God. And Psalm 46 is such a beautiful psalm that will help us to rightly orient our perspective in life and see life from a God's eyesight, God's perspective. And we will be able to enjoy peace, we will be able to enjoy happiness, loving relationship. And even when we have such a divine peace of God surpassing our understanding, in our hand, God will bless the work of our hand, our job will come under the blessings, our businesses will flourish, our relationship will become stronger, and we will become people of God who dwell in the city of God, where God is always present